welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since we've done this top-down view. I decided that I have a ton of recipes on my Pinterest and I wanted to bake through some of them. So why don't I show you guys me making white chocolate raspberry tiramisu? This is by a bajillion recipes. I will link them down below as well, but I was excited to try it. I really like tiramisu and this was kind of an interesting take on it. The ingredients you need are 4 cups raspberries, fresh or frozen. I always prefer fresh fruit. I don't know what it is about frozen fruit, but there's always like this weird taste to me. I did buy these raspberries today, but I don't know, they were like the best ones that I could find. So, we do with what we can. They're not like terrible looking though. You need a half cup water and then 3/4 cup granulated sugar, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, 1.5 cups heavy whipping cream, 16 ounces mascarpone cheese, another 3/4 cup granulated sugar, that vanilla, 1 teaspoon vanilla, lady fingers, which I thought that the mascarpone cheese would be the hardest thing that I would have to find. I had to go to 2 stores for these lady fingers. And then 1 ounce, they said good quality white chocolate. They said out of everything in the recipe, you need to make sure the chocolate is high quality. I got the exact brand that they said they used, and this chocolate bar, it better make a huge difference because it was like $6, which is kind of insane. Anyway, the first thing that we're going to make is, well, the first thing that you have to do is wash your hands. This is me going to wash my hands. Okay, I'm back. I need to do just a little bit of prep work. I don't have a like grater and it calls for grating the cheese. It calls for grating the white chocolate, so I'm just going to cut it up with a knife here. Um it only calls for an ounce of the good quality white chocolate, so this is me just being like, "Oh, there's 4 ounces in this bar. That sucks that I couldn't have bought a smaller bar," you know? And then this is me just deciding, eyeballing where 4 ounces is at. You sprinkle the white chocolate on, so I don't feel like it's that bad of a thing that I just eyeballed this part. I tried to stick to the recipe, though. I do ooh, shaken. When I tend to, like, make things just at home by myself, I tend to just eyeball everything. Anyway, we're gonna get this chopped up nice and good. Oh, that technique. You can definitely tell I'm a master at this. Tiramisu is actually one of my favorite desserts. While I'm cutting this, I'm just gonna, instead of editing out, I'm just gonna ramble. I am a little curious about this because like with normal tiramisu, you have coffee, which adds like a rich, just it enriches the flavor of the little dusting of chocolate and it's very wet and there's a lot of like cream going on. And I guess I'm about to see if this recipe kind of measures up to the variety of flavors that a tiramisu usually has, because usually there's like, several layers there. It's got a lot of depth, but this doesn't have coffee in it. So it should be interesting. I wonder if the raspberry will be enough to balance out the cream for, how sugary it is. Well, I guess we'll find out. Okay, I think that's good enough. We're going to put it into a small bowl and just set that aside. I'm going to be very gentle about putting this in the bowl, try to get as much out and make sure it doesn't fall because that was some expensive white chocolate. It's a shame how much got left on the board. But there we go. There's our white chocolate, kind of little bit of a crumble. Okay, the next thing that we're gonna do, we need 4 cups of raspberries. We're gonna wash our raspberries. I want to look through though and just pick out and make sure that we get good ones because sometimes you get raspberries that have like gross, things. I've got my 1 cup measurement there. Oop, one just dropped out on the floor. Oh, no, you can kind of see my, like, warped face in the bowl. That's horrible. Did not do anything other than throw my hair up into a bun for this, so don't look at it. But here's me, I'm just going through, looking, making sure the raspberries look good, they don't have any mold on them. I know we're about to, like, rinse and wash them, and I won't have, like, for the most part, most of them, if they look a little bit dingy, I'm not gonna put them in this, but I'll still end up using them. so it's not like they're going to waste. I just wanted to make sure we got good raspberries for this recipe. Like that one. Oh, I completely missed where the camera's at, but that one had a little bit of mold. I just have to keep reminding myself at this point that they have not been washed yet, and I need to resist popping one in my mouth. Oh, here I am trying to oh, nope, there it goes. I finally managed to find the camera, and I didn't get it to focus very well, but that's okay. We tried. I am actually kind of amazed at how well this did come out, considering I am filming this on my phone. I also really dislike when they say it's a tiramisu, but it doesn't have like the lady fingers. It just has like the cake. To me, that's not, it just doesn't taste exactly like a tiramisu. Okay, I've decided those ones are our rejects, apparently. Next box. These are actually going a lot further than I thought they would. I thought, because I was just eyeballing it at the store, I thought one box was probably going to be about 1 cup. Um, so I think I ended up getting 5 of them just in case, like, obviously, because you have some that are bad and I wasn't sure the quality of them. But yeah, no, they're going a lot further than I thought they were. I ended up having leftover sauce because right now we're getting ready to make our raspberry syrup. I ended up having leftover of that I stuck in the fridge for just something else, whatever I need a raspberry simple syrup for. Okay, fast forwarding here. I think this is our last cup here. Like I said, we're going to get about 4 cups and then we're going to just wash these in water. So once that's done, I will be back on the screen. Okay, so we have them all washed and ready. I wasn't worried about having them be wet, so I didn't dry them because of what we're doing next. We're going to take a 1/2 cup of water and then 3/4 cup granulated sugar, but we're going to set that aside for just a second, and the lemon aside. Now, normally I would have 1 tablespoon for this lemon, but for whatever reason, my 1 tablespoon is just gone. I don't understand where it went. I only have a 1/2 tablespoon now. So it'll work. I mean, obviously, I'll just add 2 of those, but it's like, where does an entire tablespoon go? You know? My dishes are all done, so it's not in a dirty sink. My fear is that it's in the garbage disposal, but I will not be sticking my hand in that to find out. Okay, so we're going to have a 1/2 cup of water to a saucepan and our raspberries. I'm going to try to move us over to the oven. This next part, forgive me, I'm doing it like one-handed. So I've turned it on. Oh no. It's okay. It'll bear out. I've turned it on to a simmer and we're just mashing all of these raspberries. I promise my hand will move in a minute. And I turn on the oven light too. So look at that. We're already getting a lot better. The light's on, the hands out of the way, and we're just using a metal fork in our pan to mash these raspberries up. Because I just read, oh, you can use a fork, and went, yeah, that's probably okay, instead of just using one of my spatulas. It's fine. I'm not going to think about that. But you're basically going to just mash, mash, mash until it looks similar to this. The more you mash, the better. Look at that color. I know it's hard to see, but it is bright red. I mean, I guess it's easy to see. It's right in front of your eyeballs. It's bright red. Look at that color. You're going to mash them up until they look like about this consistency. It's fine if they're a little bit, not completely mashed all the way. It's whatever. But you're going to simmer that for about 2 minutes. You're going to simmer it on, you're going to bring it to a simmer, and then you're going to lower the temp to a medium low and simmer for about 2 minutes. So that's what we're doing there. Now, while that's simmering, I decided to get just our rest of the stuff that we're doing for that ready. So it's all ready. I got a little bowl here. I'm going to get the 3/4 cup granulated sugar into that bowl. Why did I decide to do that? I don't know. I'm literally just going to move sugar from that bowl into the thing. So I could have totally done this. But I think it was also just because I needed to get more sugar. So I had to grab the bag. Anyway, there we go. Sugar is refilled. Fantastic. And instead of, old sugar needs to go out first. So I should just dump a little bit in that container. I decided to do this instead. So there's probably old and new on top. I'm sure I got most of the old. I'm not going to worry about it too much, I guess. It won't. Oh, oh, what are we doing? Uh-oh. Well, I have a bowl And we're back, kind of. Okay, so we've got a separate bowl. This part, like, they said to do it into a measuring cup, but I didn't see the point in that, so I'm just doing it into a bowl. Plus, I don't have a measuring cup other than the ones that I've been using, so I don't have, like, the liquid ones that you're supposed to use for liquid. Anyway, we're going to put it through a strainer. I have to say, this is my first time using this strainer for its intended purpose. You're just going to mash this down, just get as much of that liquid out into the bowl as you can. Yeah, usually I use this to like, because it's got a handle, so I like doing it to like strain pastas and stuff like that. This is the first time that I'm actually using it as like a sieve strainer. I feel a little bit proud. I'm sure it does too, since it's now fulfilling its actual role in life. But you're just going to get as much of the moisture out as you can, kind of move things around. I probably pressed too hard at this point because in the next one, there were a couple of seeds. I'm hoping that doesn't completely ruin the dish. We'll see. Okay, we've got it pretty good here, so I'm going to call that as good. I did taste a little bit of the raspberries. Yes, they tasted like raspberries. It wasn't bad. I was thinking maybe I could save this and do something with it, but I think I ended up just tossing that. Okay, so we've got our raspberry liquid here, and to this raspberry liquid, we are going to add our sugar, that 3/4 cup, and then we're going to add, well, we're going to do a little bit mix in there with that. But then we're going to add our lemon, which I'm doing it over the bowl just so that I don't end up with any like seeds or anything like that in our lemon. I think I did still end up with a little bit of lemon pulp, which you'll see in the next part. But we're going to do 1 tablespoon. So that was half, and this is 1. So 1 tablespoon of lemon juice to that mixture. Do a little good little mix here. And then we're going to put it back on the stove. Okay, this part is going to be a little bit rough. I've got to try to do this one-handed. We're going to pour that back into there. You can see me trying to fish out this lemon seed, which I promise I cleaned that up after I was done. But like you can see there's some like seeds on the top. It's mostly just like pulpy bits. I tried to get out some of it. Hopefully it didn't affect it too much. I'm thinking now that I'm looking at it, I used the same pan that I originally used without like rinsing out or anything because my brain went, that's fine. It was just raspberry and water, and now we're putting the mixture back. But that's probably, where I got the seeds from. I'm trying to show off the color here, but it's very vibrantly red. What you're going to do here is you're going to bring it to a boil, and then you're going to simmer it 4 to 5 minutes until it reduces slightly. And then we're going to remove it from the heat, and we're going to chill it in the refrigerator. So let's get this bad boy to a boil. Look at here. I'm about to stir it because it's boiling. Oh, look at that color. It is gorgeous. All right, we're going to now simmer it for the 4 to 5 minutes and then put it in the fridge. The fridge part actually took me a really long time because it does say, hey, make sure it gets chilled down. So I had to wait a while before I could mix it in. I'm just going to show you the next part. All right, so next part, we're making the filling now. So our syrup is chilled. We're moving on to the rest of it. We want in 1 bowl, we want the whipping cream, we want to, oh my goodness. In 1 bowl, we want to mix 1.5 cup heavy cream. In our bowl, we got 1.5 cup heavy cream. There we go. I'm tripping all over my words. You're going to beat that until you form stiff peaks, which I am super glad that I got this little hand mixer. I was just doing this with a fork because I sometimes make my like own homemade whipped cream. All right, you can see it. It's forming. It's almost there. It's probably at soft peak status right now. It is weird to me because like I said, I make whipped cream this way a lot to not have sugar at this point, but it does make sense. Yeah, look at that. Look at those peaks. They are stiff. Let's get as much of that in there as we can. Just do a little knock, 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 knock. Knock, knock, knock. There we go. All right. And then we're going to move on to a second bowl. So we've put aside the bowl of whipped cream. It's just a little bit off camera. But we're putting in our mascarpone cheese and that would be 16 ounces, which for me was the entire tub because the entire tub was 16 ounces. I don't think I've ever cooked with this stuff before. It was a lot thicker than I thought it was gonna be. Oop, stuff is going flying. So to your mascarpone cheese, you are going to add your sugar. That is 3/4 cup granulated sugar again. And here's where that raspberry syrup that we made comes in. But there's our raspberry mixture. I kept it in the fridge up until now. It is completely cooled down, though. You're going to do 3/4 of a cup of the raspberry mixture, and then you're going to leave that raspberry mixture off to the side because we will use the rest of it later. Well, most of the rest of it later. Look at that color, though. Wow. Okay, the camera was being a little bit funky, but I put in that teaspoon of vanilla goes in there now. I'm shoving that back into my spices thing right there. You're going to combine it on high, so we're going to really whip this up, which it immediately starts looking really ugly. And this was the point where I was like, "Oh no, did I do something wrong?" Because look how just that looks like off cottage cheese. But I decided, you know what? Trust the process, continue whipping. And it didn't take like too long for it to start because you can even see it right now. It's already starting to get a little bit more creamy. Trying to get the sides. The color is interesting. It's like it kind of looks very similar to the color of my flesh, which is a little bit weird and kind of weirding me out now that I'm looking at my hand against it. I don't know. But now what you're going to do is you're going to take some of that whipped cream from earlier. You're going to take about a cup of that, and I'm just using the same one because again, it's, doesn't really matter. We're just going to put about a cup of that in there. Set that aside again. And you're going to beat that into it. At least this should change the color. Got it looking like ham or something right now. There we go. Now it's just really pale. Perfect. Okay. And look at how creamy that is. Now what you're going to do is we're going to get as much of that off as we can. And we're going to incorporate the rest of that whipped cream. So all of that is going to go on the top. But instead of beating it in, you're going to fold it in. And you'll kind of see why, while I'm doing it, why that is better than like whipping it in. It makes it so much lighter and fluffier when you fold it. At least I thought so while I was folding it. Maybe it's just because I like did it up into this giant mound here and it's just like perception of what's going on. But we're just going to gently fold it all around until that's mixed in. Okay, after this is all folded, we're just going to kind of move stuff around because we're getting our station ready now. Because we are ready to assemble the tiramisu. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. Now, they do say to use an 8-inch square dish. I don't have any square dishes. I have a round dish, so that's what I'm using. And I've got some parchment paper. They don't say to put parchment paper down, but I'm doing it. I'm just gonna go for it. And if it's a little bit ugly, I'm not too worried about that. If the parchment paper makes it look like gross, I don't, whatever. But I'm more concerned about what it tastes like than what it looks like. So here we go. We got that out. We're getting our lady fingers ready. I was a little bit bamboozled that they came in 2 separate packages, but it was kind of perfect because you do double layer and I had just enough in each layer for each one. It was kind of crazy. But you're going to take your lady fingers, you're going to dip it in your raspberry syrup. They said until it's soaked but not soggy. So I really hope I did that right. I think it looks soaked and it didn't feel soggy, so you know what? We're gonna say that that's correct, and that's the right way to do it. Anyway, we're gonna layer these all down on the bottom there. Perfect. I've got one left, and I think I can fit it into that side. In fact, I already did it, so I know I can. But this is me just judging the distance there and being like, ah, yes, squeeze it in. Perfect. You're gonna take half of this mascarpone filling, and you're gonna spread that on top of the lady fingers. I think I should have made the parchment paper a little bit taller because I'm pretty sure I got like some of it stuck in there, but it's like I said, it's fine. It's whatever. It'll still taste the same. But we're just going to try to spread it out. You can see me trying to unstick the parchment, just kind of get it in there. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to be kind to myself. Okay, you're going to get that as evenly spread as you can, and then you're going to take your white chocolate and we're just going to sprinkle that on top here. Yes, white chocolate dust. I noticed that some of it is very chunky while others is very fine, but it's fine. I probably did more than an ounce of white chocolate in this recipe, to be honest. But woo, knocking us around. But I don't think that that's a terrible thing. I don't think in recipes like this anyone ever said, that was too much white chocolate crumble. So now what you're going to do is you're going to do another layer of ladyfingers. Originally, I thought, oh, I did it one direction, I'll do it the other direction. But now looking back at this video, I turned the pan at one point. So I think I'm just doing them in the same direction. I'm not sure. Honestly, it's fine. It didn't say in the recipe to alternate them. So I'm sure if it was needing to be alternated, that's where we would do. Anyway, you're going to do another layer of ladyfingers. Okay, here we are, fitting that last ladyfinger, just pushing that in there. Yes, that's fine. It'll do. And then you're going to take half of the remaining filling and put it in here. Just spread that on top, which if I'd have known what I know now, I would have just spread the whole thing on top. You'll see what I mean in a second. It's fine if this stage isn't perfect and you have like little bits peeking through. Because what you're supposed to do in this next stage is get a piping bag and pipe the rest of it on there. I don't have a piping bag, but I thought, oh, it's fine. I have this. I have a Ziploc bag, which normally Ziploc bags, great. They would work perfectly. Apparently, though, my Ziploc bags have decided that no, we don't want you to use them as piping bags. So they like folded the bottom up into itself so it won't make that corner, which was really, really, really annoying. I didn't realize that though. I just thought, oh, it's folded, it's whatever. I went back and looked at them and yeah, they're literally specifically made so you cannot use them as piping bags. But here's me attempting to use it as a piping bag. I am blissfully unaware at this point that it is not going to work. Not that I would have been any good at piping it anyways, probably would have gotten the same result, but it is mildly annoying that you can't use like them as piping bags. I don't know. It wasn't here when I realized. I think it was around here when I started looking for that nub. And you can see it's in there. Like it's inside of the thing. There's nothing. Yeah, there's nowhere for me to cut. So this is me figuring out what I'm going to do. To make it pretty, I don't know. Maybe I should have just spooned it back out. This is me trying to make it into that nub. I don't think that the option of what I did is very good, but I was a little bit frustrated, so I just thought, you know what? Yeah, this is me being like, what the heck? There's a little bit of a thing right there, but it's not a nub. I tried on the other corner that I hadn't pushed it in to pull it out, and it literally will not let you pull it out. It's just I don't even know. It's like stuck there. It wasn't working out either. Anyway, very disappointed. I probably should have done anything other than what I did next though, but desperate times. I just decided maybe if I just cut into it and I was going to cut again, but you know what? We'll just do whatever. And then this is about here is where I tried to convince myself, oh, it's fine. It'll look like pretty ribbons just going along the thing. That was just delusion. Yep, that's where I realized it was not going to be pretty ribbons. Anyway, normally you would pipe this very neat and very nice over the top of the whole thing. And it looks super cute. The original creators of this definitely looks really cute. That's for sure. Anyway, this is where I just gave up and I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to plop the rest on there. And we're just going to spread it out because it will look better just spread out instead of whatever that was. But I tried to salvage it here. It'll still taste the same. It's fine. And yes, I did taste the spoon. I'm not going to tell you my final thoughts though until the end. Anyway, and then you just sprinkle some more white chocolate on top. And then after you're done putting that on there, you cover with some plastic wrap and we will refrigerate this for 6 hours to overnight. I'll just refrigerate mine for 6 hours and then I'll be back and I'll tell you how it tastes. Yeah, this was fun. This was super exciting and fun. Anyway, I'll see you. Oh, there I go waving to it. I'll see you in 6 hours. All right, we're back and I'm about to reveal the final product. Look how pretty that is. Oh, I'm just so excited to finally be actually like trying it and everything. It's been 6 hours, so now currently it is a little after midnight since I started this project so late. Here's me realizing that, oh, wait, how do I get it out? Because I didn't put the parchment paper up far enough. Yeah, I'm like, how do I take this out? I'm gonna try and then go, no. Yeah, no, we need to do something different. Spatula, maybe. We'll see. We're gonna attempt to get it out. It went through and I was like, "Oh my goodness, it is like solid." Like not solid in like a really hard way, but in a solid as in it actually solidified like together way. Um so you can see I can actually get like a full piece out of it, which was kind of amazing. And then I kind of struggle because it doesn't I know I'm touching the food, but it's my food, okay? I can touch it to get it out. Ah, the camera's shaking. And look at the layers. Look, we achieved the layers and the look. And oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I am so excited to taste this. It's me. I'm not sure why my camera doesn't want to fit to screen. We're not going to talk about that in this one. We are here to try the tiramisu. It looks like a mess because I offered my husband some first to try. I'm gonna try it before I tell you what he thought of it. I kind of wish that I had put more of that raspberry filling into it because the um lady fingers, like they're soaked in it, and if you eat them by themselves, you can kind of taste it. And that's great. It gives it a little bit of a tang. I wish I'd soaked it for longer. I wish I wouldn't have been so worried about having them go soggy because it definitely needed more of that raspberryness. The actual fluff, which is like the main part of it, is so light and fluffy. The texture is amazing. It's silky smooth. It is very sweet though. And so I feel like it could do with just like in normal tiramisu, how I was talking about the coffee kind of cuts the richness of the sweetness, out a bit, and it just gives it more depth of flavor. This is just kind of sweet, sweet, sweet in a way. But I think that might have been my fault by not doing too much of that raspberry. I should have done way more of it. I will say the white chocolate is kind of like an afterthought. If it was shaved even more so, you would not taste it at all. So saying that the white chocolate has to be the most expensive white chocolate you can find, I don't think that's true. I think you could just do any white chocolate or even just leave off the white chocolate and it would probably be, just as good. I will say I'm missing a lot of acidity. So I feel like the raspberry, bump up the raspberry, or even if I was to make another like fruit tiramisu again instead of just the normal tiramisu, I would maybe do a citrus one instead, like an orange and lemon one, because I feel like that would balance out the cream a lot better. But other than that, it's really good. I do enjoy it. It's very sweet. Yeah, it's really good though. It's very, very sweet, but very good. And that cream texture. Mm, mm. Yeah. Um, Overall, I think I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. Just because I feel like and this might just be me too. It might not be the person's recipe or anything like that. I just feel like it needs more to counteract the sweetness of it all. My husband didn't like it at all. I know. I was really sad. I asked him to try it and he was like, "This is not for me at all." So I'm like, "Oh, dang it. Okay." So that was a bit disappointing. Maybe if there was like a layer as well of just, like, the strawberry and have it be, like, really condensed down to where it was more of, like, a jelly layer, it would've been very good and kind of cut through that a bit, but I'm just a little bit disappointed, I'm not gonna lie. But it might not be the recipe's fault, it might've just been my fault because maybe I just didn't soak the lady fingers enough. But yeah, 7 out of 10, I think. I'll link it down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always forget to say that. And have a wonderful day. And I hope you liked the different video. I really enjoyed doing it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Bye.